So the Women's Day is coming up and I always took it for granted as an international holiday. I lived in Japan, so I naturally was curious if it's also celebrated over there, so I reached out to my Japanese friends to find out. Also, along the way, I learned some interesting things, so I want to share them with you today. Celebration of the Women's Day started in the United States in the 1909, thanks to the Socialist Party of America after strikes and protests in New York. Now, this is an international holiday, but it seems to me that it is still not that common in Japan, so I reached out to my Japanese friends, and while they know that holiday, they seem to not celebrate it in any special way. They don't buy flowers or go to dinner, and I still remember the time when I asked my friend to point me to the right direction because I wanted to buy some flowers for my girlfriend. And he was rather intrigued by the idea. However, he went with me and we bought together some flowers. Now, this is in contrast to Christmas and Valentine's Day, and I think they are really adapted well in Japanese culture and sometimes in a really surprising way. For example, Christmas. In my country, Christmas is all about family. However, in Japan, it seems to me that this holiday is more about friends and couples than a family. Now, I don't think it's bad. Actually, you might find it interesting that, for example, they go to the KFC for their Christmas lunch. During my time in Japan, I noticed that they have quite a few holidays that honestly were pretty random to me. For example, Mountain Day or Seniors Day. And it might be that Women's Day is just another one, so they don't pay much attention to it. Speaking of Mountain Day, I don't think it's getting the attention it deserves. Another reason why they don't pay much attention to Women's Day might be that there is another important holiday around the same time at the beginning of March, and that holiday is called Hinamatsuri. Now, this is a purely Japanese holiday. Well, it actually has a lot to do with China, but we'll get to that in a second. Rather than a Women's Day, Hinamatsuri is a girl's day, and it is celebrated according to the Chinese tradition on the third day of the third month. Now, this holiday is celebrated to ensure health and happiness of girls and their good fortune with their future marriage. In Japanese calendar, there are 5 seasonal festivals which are called sekku. Seasons are very important in Japanese culture. A lot of things in Japan are changing or are driven by seasons of the year. Concept of celebrating on the third day of the third month and so on came from China, and the first signs of Hinamatsuri can be dated back to the Nara period in Japan, which means this is actually a holiday with quite long history. Hinamatsuri is also called a Doll's Day, but we will get to that in a minute. It is worth noting that in Japan, until late 40s, they didn't have Children's Day. Instead, they celebrated Boys and Days Girls separately. Tell me in the comments if you would like the video about Boys Day in Japan. But how do they celebrate Hinamatsuri? And actually, there is quite a lot that goes into it. The most important thing to know is that they have those special dolls that they put on a display few days before 3rd of March. Hence the second name, Dolls Day. By the way, those dolls are expensive, and I mean really expensive. It's insane, you could spend easily thousands of dollars on a set. Idea of involving dolls in all of it originated in China, where they would put all of the bad luck into dolls and they would flush them into the river. Now, there was a time in Japan when flushing dolls down the river was a thing, but the dolls were poorly made and cheap, probably made from a paper. But nowadays, imagine saying a goodbye to a $1,000 doll and flushing it down the river. That would be really painful, I think. Few days before 3rd of March, girls and their mothers arrange a display of dolls on a platform which is called Hinadan, which is basically a staircase, a small staircase with a red carpet on it. Usually there are at least 2 dolls, the male and female doll. The display of those dolls usually represents Heian period wedding, but sometimes it is referred to as the Emperor and the Empress of Japan. Of course, you could go and get more dolls to complete the whole set of Hinakazari, but as I said, that would be rather painfully expensive. There is a superstition in Japan that says you must put away those dolls into a storage the day after Hinamatsuri. Doing otherwise may result in a late marriage of girls. That ceremony of displaying dolls is usually cultivated until girls reach the age of 10 years old. Well, naturally, it is Girls' Day, not Women's Day, right? Now, also on Hinamatsuri and few days before, girls will hold parties for their friends. In terms of Hinamatsuri's most common dish, I must mention hishimochi. And basically what it is a mochi in shape of a diamond. For those of you who don't know, mochi is basically just a rice cake. It is still not clear why it looks like it does today, but I did some research and I found some interesting stuff. It seems that diamond shape represents a heart Or a woman in a yin-yang Taoism. Hishimochi has 3 layers in different colors, and each color represents actually something different. Red color, or pink for example, represents a charm against evil spirits. White represents prosperity and longevity of descendants, and green is there to prevent bad luck. Another popular food on that day is chirashi sushi, and basically this is a bowl of raw fish and vegetables on a rice. This is really tasty dish and I enjoyed it a lot when I was in Japan, so please try it when you are on your next trip to Japan. Overall, this holiday is really cute, but I think it's not well known around the world. Basically because foreigners that come to Japan, me included, are too old. Also, being a man doesn't help. But it's definitely an important part of Japanese girls' childhood and interesting and unique part of Japanese culture I wanted to share with you today. Also, exactly 1 month after Valentine's Day, on March 14th, there is another holiday which is quite important in Japanese culture, and it is called White Day. And during that day, boys give presents to girls that gave them chocolates on the Valentine's Day. This is well documented if you ever had pleasure of watching slice of life anime. This is a major plot point in many of them. The gift is supposed to be worth 10 times what girl paid for boys' presents, and it sucks for the guys. And I hope my girlfriend won't expect too much this year. So now you can all see how another holiday in between those 2 important ones, one being Hinamatsuri on the 3rd of March and one being White Day on the 14th of March, just couldn't cut it in Japanese culture. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new from today's video, and if you want to see more stuff about Japan from a European guy's perspective or about learning Japanese on your own, please check out my channel for more. If you want to help me, please don't forget to leave a comment and like the video. And as I mentioned, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already, and I will see you next time. Bye bye, cheers!